working people, they all came and settled, and the city acquired the shape of a proper city.
Rich people of Delhi also came, and it was called the Naya Sheher. And people came and built their own palaces next to the river, and it must have been a very beautiful place at some point. Because it was inhabited for such a short while that maybe the stones were reused in later constructions, or the palaces and all were made of relatively perishable material like bricks and wood and all, and they have now gone. We really cannot say because there's very little information we have about it, what happened later.
Jalaluddin Khilji was already walking towards the evening of his life when he took over. Although the royal throne was still in Mehroli, Khilji decided to stay put here and rule from Kilokri. He was unable to come to the terms if the people of his kingdom will accept an usurper. So what he did? He decided to build on the palace left by his predecessor, Kekubad.
Several other buildings to house his princes, nobles and other officers were ordered to be built in Kilokri. In the words of 14th century political thinker Ziauddin Barni, accounted in Tarikh-e-Feroz Shahi, the excellence of his character, his justice, generosity and devotion gradually removed the aversion of the people, and they accepted the new emperor and his new city.
This is the first time when we hear the phrase Old Delhi, Dehli-e-Kohna, Dehli-e-Buzurg, for Qutub Delhi, because there was a new city in Kilokri which began to be called Sheher-e-Nau, or New City, or if you like, New Delhi, to use a modern expression. So the moment a new city came up, this city began to be called Old. He realized that there were Turkish ruling classes in Qutub Delhi who were not favorable to his rule, and therefore he avoided ruling the Sultanate from what began to be called Old Delhi now, and he stayed in Kilokri. He started the second round of building construction in Kilokri, expanding Kekubad's palace, building gardens, building new houses, therefore providing another round of, if you like, political and administrative impulse to the city to expand.
6 years into his rule, Delhi was preparing to see another of a throne shaking. While city's parched land waited for the monsoon rains, the blood was spilling in the kingdom of Jalaluddin Khilji. On July 20, 1296, he was murdered by his nephew Juna Muhammad, who later came to be addressed as Alauddin. Seizing power, Alauddin assumed the title of Sultan-e-Dilli.
Well, the murder of the reigning Sultan, his uncle Jalaluddin Khilji, was soon forgotten. In the beginning it was a stigma, of course, and the Jalali nobles, who were afraid of Alauddin's ambition, truly afraid, then they were against him. But he bought them with the gold he brought from the south, he bribed them, he took a whole lot of measures to bring them to his fold, and as I said, he had a nobility of his choice. So frankly speaking, in the political circle, very soon his image as a regicide was forgotten.
Days after witnessing another palace intrigue and bloodlust for power, Delhi was decorated again to receive her new ruler. Alauddin Khilji entered the city in great pomp and with a large force, with a procession leading him to the throne. Before taking over the throne of Delhi, Alauddin began his military career as governor of Kara province, and from there he raided and plundered Malwa in the year 1292 and 2 years later in Devagiri.
Yes, Alauddin Khilji was arguably the most important ruler of the Delhi Sultanate.